Hello and welcome to Sage Astrology. My name is Sage, here as your eye into the sky, letting you know what the cosmic events are for the week, why they matter, and how you can use this information in your everyday life. We are getting to the end of February, right? We are just at the very final week of February and we are in for it. March is approaching, and let me just tell you, March and April are two of the most astrologically chaotic and crazy months of 2025. If you've been listening to any astrologer, not just myself, but any astrologer out there, everybody, we are all saying the same thing. Be ready for March madness. And I'm not just talking about basketball. This is the time when things are getting wild in the cosmic skies. So let's dive right in. We have a new moon coming up and we're going to dive into everything about this new moon in Pisces. This new moon in Pisces is going to be sort of like the last minute of calm. Our last moment, to just sort of float on the Piscean waters and to just feel calm and relaxed and even a bit more inspired perhaps by what's to come. Now we do have a lot to come, and this new moon is gonna give us a bit of a preview of what we can expect coming up in the next couple of months and even the next couple of years. We are dealing with eclipse season coming up, so you already know things are gonna get a little crazy. Now, this is also the last lunation, meaning it is the last new/full moon that we're experiencing before eclipse season. So what does that mean? If you are one of the people out there that does like to do any sort of new moon or full moon rituals, and you know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to get into what those are, but if you are somebody that likes to manifest with the moon, and I do recommend most of the time to manifest with the moon, i.e. doing certain things like rituals, like cleanses, things like that to sort of align yourself with the cosmic energy. During eclipse season, we do not recommend to do any sort of rituals or anything like that because we don't really have the power and control during eclipse season to be manifesting and utilizing the lunar energy to our benefit. More so, we are in this more surrendered state. So I bring this up ahead of time because this new moon in Pisces happening on Friday the 28th, sometimes it depends, depending on your time zone, it could also be Thursday the 27th. But coming up towards the end of February, right, the last few days of February, this is your last chance to really manifest with the lunar energy. It is a new moon, which is great for setting intentions and planting new seeds. And yes, this is the final time that I'd recommend you doing this until April. Yeah, I know that seems like a very far ways away, and it is. It's about 2 months where we're gonna have to kind of hit the brakes when it comes to ritualing and manifesting and doing our baths and our crystals and our journaling. And I'm not saying to throw those things out, but I am encouraging you to seek alternative ways to align with the lunar energy as we approach eclipse season. But that is for another video. In this video, we are going to discuss 3 different things. We are going to look at Mars going direct because, hey, who doesn't want to celebrate the planet of motivation and action finally moving forward and letting us get back to work? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, of course, the new moon in Pisces. I do want to go through that and make sure that everybody knows where this energy is showing up for you in your birth chart and in your life. Last but not least, we are going to touch on the Venus retrograde. This is starting March 1st, literally the day after we have this new moon and things feel calm. Bam, March starts and we are hit with a Venus retrograde. Now, this is not always a bad thing. In fact, Venus being such a positive planet can actually be a really good thing. But it is a retrograde, so it is something to take note of, and it is something that we haven't experienced in a little bit of time. So again, all of that's going to be covered in that segment of this video. And of course, when you flip forward to, or fast forward to the end of this video, you're going to get to the horoscopes. That's going to be the most in-depth analysis of how this lunar energy is showing up for you in your life according to your rising sign. So of course, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button, click the like button if you are getting value from these videos. Please be sure to comment if you have anything you'd like to share. I have been reading your comments and I've been really appreciating it. Really glad that this information is resonating and of value to a lot of you. And of course, make sure you hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date when I do post a video every other week talking about the new moon and the full moon. So with that, let's get into the forecast for this week and the coming weeks ahead. Let's dive into Mars retrograde finally ending on Monday, February 24th. This is a really great time in the astrological year because, again, we've had the Mars retrograde affecting our charts since December 6th, 2024. we have had the planet of motivation, action, willpower. The energy that makes us get up and get it done has been moving backwards. How has your to-do list been? Have you been able to get things done? Have you been able to, really go after your goals and make sure that you're checking off the things on your to-do list, all those chores, all those tasks? Have they gotten done? Have they taken a back seat? Mars has been retrograde in Cancer for a majority of the retrograde. This part of our chart has seen a lot of revision, maybe a little bit of a slowdown or a pullback, some frustration perhaps, but also hopefully some illumination around different ways that we can approach our goals in this area of our life. Maybe you've been able to redefine how you take action here. Maybe you've been re-inspired by something and now you're really ready to hit the ground running in a new way of doing things. Maybe you've upgraded your strategy. That's the benefit when Mars goes direct. Mars will be going direct on Monday, February 24th. This is great news, especially if you are an Aries or a Scorpio and Mars is your ruling planet. Whew, hats off to you all. I know it has been a doozy of a couple of months bringing us into the new year. Also, cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. I know all of y'all have been getting hit with this as well. I've got a lot of cardinal energy in my chart, so I certainly feel it. And while the Mars retrograde is amazing for maybe going back over the different ways that we do things, right? Because Mars is all about the way we do things, the action we take. It might have also prevented us from really getting to the result of what it is that we're looking to achieve. And so achievement is the name of the game. Forward progress, momentum. Now we can really look forward and be excited about how we can really utilize the Mars direct energy. Now, when Mars stations direct, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to just shoot off and we're like full steam ahead. It will be sitting around that same degree, about 17 degrees of Cancer for a little bit of time. All the way up until beginning of April, we will still have Mars in Cancer. So this part of the chart is not fully out of the clear, right? We do still have this Mars, this malefic energy affecting this part of our life. So please, 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 if you're not already aware of it, go and look and make sure that you're aware of what area of your life you have Cancer ruling. If you're not aware, if you're not sure, or if you just want more insight, the link is below to book a reading with myself and we can look at that together. Now, I really think this is the best time to get organized around the things that you have been maybe needing to tackle during this Mars retrograde. Think about the problems that might have arisen during this time, any challenges that you've had to face, especially in the Cancerian part of your chart. This is the time when you can finally sort of get organized and get ready to hit the ground running and start to actually see results here. You might have felt like things were really stagnant for a bit, but you knew what needed to be done. Now is the time to do the things that you knew needed to be done, but you just weren't quite ready to do. Maybe there was a sluggishness. Mars in Cancer can make us feel waterlogged. And it also really turned our energies towards our home and our family life and that entire world. And so maybe you've had to really deal with putting out a lot of fires on the home front. And finally, now you can redirect your energy to not just putting out fires, not just dealing with challenges, not just going back over things that haven't fully been sorted out, but now you can look ahead and start to decide, what way that you want to move forward with a solution to whatever problems might have arisen between December 6th and the end of February. Now, again, this is really great news because this is going to help us overall as a collective feel more motivated. If you did not get your resolutions hit like you wanted to, maybe you said, I'm going to go and work out every single day in 2025, and January came and went, and you might have gone to the gym all but 2 times. If you're that person, or maybe it's another goal in your life, a creative one, a relationship one, a work goal, whatever that looked like for you, if it did not happen in the way that you had expected, if you set a goal for yourself in January and February rolled around and that goal still hadn't been hit, give yourself some grace. Please remember the astrological new year does not begin till March 21st. And of course, Mars being retrograde did not help us to reach any sort of goals. In fact, it might have kept us more so focused on the the strategy, the tool, the path, the journey, but not necessarily the action attached to those things, right? Planning for it, but not actually doing the thing. So now our feet can start moving in the right direction, and we can start to really sort out this part of our chart and get clear on that solution and really move forward with more motivation and willpower, since Mars is finally direct in our chart. Now on Friday, February 28th, we have a new moon in Pisces. This is really the star of the show, as this is the final lunation, the final new moon before eclipse season starts up and things get really wild. I kind of look at this new moon like when you're on a roller coaster or on any sort of ride and you're just starting to get to the point where things are about to get scary, but you're not quite there yet. And so it's kind of calm right here, right? Maybe you're enjoying the view, maybe you're starting to look at the scenery. You're getting a little nervous because you know what's to come, but you haven't fully hit that drop and the roller coaster really has not started. That is the way that I'm envisioning this new moon. Now, again, this new moon is heavy on the Pisces energy. We are feeling the water during this new moon. So let's talk about the basics. I won't get too in depth on the new moon right now in this particular segment of the video, as of course I will talk about this in depth in the horoscope. So please be sure that you fast forward after listening to the forecast part of the video, so that way you know where this new moon is showing up in your life specifically and how to work with that energy. So looking at this new moon, both the sun and the moon are together in the sign of Pisces. This is a very spiritual sign ruled by Jupiter, very much focused on transcendentalism and expanding one's sense of self beyond the physical. This is the most spiritual sign of the zodiac, and Pisces energy is definitely one for the dream world, the fantasy life. Pisces is known for loving La La Land, and I say that with love. I actually have a Pisces moon myself. It's what really draws me into the world of astrology. I believe that is really what called me to this, because again, Pisces is learning how to merge the physical with the spiritual. How can I become a 3D being living in a spiritual world and really understand my place in the cosmic matrix, right? That is really the Piscean goal, the focus, the function, so to speak, of Pisces. So let's talk about the new moon in Pisces. Like I said, it is a new moon where the sun and the moon are together in Pisces, which means that we are beginning a new lunar cycle. This is planting new seeds, especially in the Pisces part of your chart, which again, I will explain that more in depth in the horoscope portion of the video. This new moon has a lot of Pisces energy because it's not just the sun and the moon together in Pisces. We have Mercury, we have the North Node, and Saturn and Neptune all together in Pisces. We have a buildup of Pisces energy, what's known as the stellium in astrology. This is also all affecting our Pisces part of our charts. So please take note that the area of life that I will be specifically going over in your horoscope isn't just the area of life where the new moon is taking place. This is also where Saturn's been hanging out for you since March of 2023. This is where Neptune's been hanging out for you since 2012, and it will be moving out of this part of the chart. And the North Node just entered Pisces in January, and we're going to be having eclipses in this sign and the sign of Virgo between now and 2027. So why is this important? This new moon is sort of like a precursor to all of that Pisces eclipse energy that we have yet to experience. Eclipses bring major life events, beginnings and endings. It's like a page turning when an eclipse happens, and it's a new chapter unfolding, but it's also saying goodbye, usually to something in the past. And so please know that this area of your chart, the Pisces part of our charts, all of us are getting a major blast of cosmic energy here. And in terms of how that translates into our world down here on Earth, there's going to be some major beginnings and endings for you in this part of your life. This is the area of the chart that's going to feel a little chaotic. Our life in this part of this part of our life might feel chaotic. It also might feel like we have to surrender to external circumstances in order for us to level up in some way and, ultimately reach some phase of understanding and maturity in this part of our life. And so this new moon, especially because Saturn is involved here, it is a serious one. It's in Pisces, but It's looking at our dreams in Pisces world and saying, oh my gosh, I really want to expand and explore and dream and travel. And this is also squaring Jupiter in Gemini. This new moon is squaring Jupiter, which is great for expanding our perspective. This is great for even just being able to think bigger about our dreams. But Saturn's also here, and Saturn is reminding us that we have to be practical, we have to be logical with our dreams, while at the same time, the North Node's presence is reminding us that we have a greater destiny in this part of our life. There is something here yet to be unlocked. And again, knowing where this is showing up for you is crucial, because this area of life, you are being set up in a way, right? The universe is aligning things so that way we have opportunities through circumstances and experiences that are coming our way, especially over the next couple of months as eclipse season heats up. This is what is getting us ready and evolving us so that we can mature to the next level of evolution and of our soul's journey here on Earth. Now that might sound a little like, whoa, this seems way more intense than your average new moon. And yes, I know it's not even eclipse season and I'm already talking like it is, but we are in the pre-stages of eclipse season. We also have 2 retrogrades. Both Venus and Mercury are going retrograde, and guess what? They're also going retrograde in Pisces and Aries. So we're going to look at both of those, but please know that Pisces, if you're listening, if you've got a lot of Pisces in your chart, if you've got a lot of mutable placements in your chart, this is going to be a wild ride, a good ride, one where we might really rediscover parts of ourselves and of our world, potentially even our relationships within our life that we had never known. But this could also be a really wild time where we have to find ways to ground ourselves amidst the chaotic waters of Pisces, eclipse season, and retrograde all in one. So we're gonna look finally at the Venus retrograde. I'm gonna touch on that so we have an understanding of it. And then of course, make sure you fast forward so you can find out where this new moon is showing up for you in your life and how to work with that energy. Now on March 1st, the moment we've all been waiting for, Venus goes retrograde in the sign of Aries. This is a very monumental moment in the astrological year of 2025. Why do I say that? Because Venus retrogrades don't happen all that often. The last time we had a Venus retrograde was 2023, summer of 2023. If you all remember, that was when the Barbie movie came out and we were all thinking back to our childhood and all the times when we would play dress up and learning about makeup and style and fashion from Barbie. I know all my girls listening are probably like, yeah, even if you didn't like Barbie, and I wasn't a big Barbie person, but a lot of us still had experiences and memories. And I bring that up because that was our last experience with a Venus retrograde. And of course, it's ironic, maybe not so coincidental certain times, you know, especially even in Hollywood, astrologers are on set to align things with the cosmos. And yes, the Barbie movie actually did come out specifically and intentionally during the Venus retrograde. So we're going to see what pops up for us over the next few weeks. As March 1st kicks off Venus retrograde season, this will last all the way until April 12th. Now, Venus retrograde is a time of serious reflection in relationships. This is characterized by 40 days and 40 nights of Venus going and basically disappearing from our line of sight, from our eye. We won't be able to see Venus in the sky any longer. Venus has been an evening star leading up to the retrograde, and Venus will eventually disappear during the retrograde and then reappear in mid to late April as a morning star. Now that is the astronomy of it. If you are interested in learning more about the synodic cycle of Venus and the 8-point flower that Venus creates in its orbit, Venus is one of the most beautiful planets to study in terms of the way that it aligns with sacred geometry and nature. And honestly, I could geek out over it, but that's not the point of this video. But I do encourage, if you're somebody that's into all that stuff, definitely go check it out. But okay, so Venus retrograde is a moment where we are forced to reflect back on relationships. And I don't just mean the relationships externally, right? The ones that we have with friends, family, coworkers, you know, lovers, things like that, but the relationship with ourselves. And I love this because Venus goes retrograde in Aries to kick things off. And of course, Aries is the sign of the self. Aries is most notably the selfish or self-oriented sign of the zodiac. And I say that not in a negative way. In fact, this is Aries' predominant function. Aries is the first sign. It's all there is. So of course, naturally, the focus is on oneself when we're dealing with Aries energy. So to begin Venus retrograde, the focus is, how can I love on myself more? How can I love and show myself love in order to better show love to others? A lot of questions are going to come up for us during this time, and potentially old situations, old people from our life. This Venus retrograde might even bring up situations and circumstances, or even just feelings and vibes from 2017, March and April of 2017. That was the last time that we had Venus retrograding through Aries. And of course, Venus will also retrograde through Pisces. So both of these signs are getting hit with the retrograde, meaning both of these parts of our chart are also getting hit with a retrograde. Now, again, March, April 2017, what was going on for you? What relationships were happening in your life? How were you showing up in relationships? And what people were really serving as the bedrock of your relationships and of the connections that you had with people. Also, Venus does deal with money. How was money for you then? What was going on for you financially? Lastly, Venus does deal with creativity. So this is another component to consider. What was going on for you creatively? Were you working on any projects during that time? How have things gone since then? This is Venus in a nutshell: art, beauty, love, romance, and of course money, because Venus is the planet of value. Venus is all the things we value. We value people, we value love, we value art and beauty, and of course money. So Venus retrograde is sure to have us reflecting on all of those things. And again, I bring up 2017 because that was the last most current time that we had a retrograde, a Venus retrograde through Aries and Pisces, meaning that area of our life, whatever area of our life you have Aries and Pisces, that area is also getting a review during the retrograde. Also, March, April 2009, think back to 2009, and March and April of 2001. Those were the last times that we had Venus retrograding through Aries and Pisces. So a lot will come from this retrograde. You might find yourself reconnecting with family, friends, coworkers, old lovers, people from the past. If there's closure that needs to be had, if there's relationships in your life that maybe fizzled out but never really felt like they were put away, this might be the time when they pop back up and you have to deal with those things. Old financial debts, things like that might come up for you. You might even decide you want to redo or redecorate. But I will just caution, major investments, any beauty treatments, anything that involves aesthetic, style, redecorating, renovating, I would probably put it off until April, mid-April, after April 12th, if you can. If you absolutely cannot, right? I'll use myself as an example. I'm getting married April 25th. And I knew this, of course. I picked my wedding date very intentionally around the astrology of the time. But I did know that leading up to then, I would have a Venus retrograde. So I'm personally making sure that anything I can get done beauty-wise for my wedding, I'm looking to get that done before March 1st. So that's just one example. Again, this is going to show up for everybody in a lot of different ways. And I also want to take a note that not only will Venus be retrograding through Aries and eventually through Pisces, which will be very interesting, by the way. The Venus retrograde through Pisces will be a lesson on the opposite of Aries, whereas Aries was all about the self. Pisces is all about service. And so we're really reflecting on how we're showing up in the relationship we have with ourselves. But then as the retrograde progresses, that conversation turns towards how can I also love on my community, on the collective? How can I show up and serve humanity for the good of humanity? That will be another layer, another facet of the retrograde. But again, this is the time to get ahead of things if you can, to prepare. Not only will Venus be retrograding through Aries and Pisces, but Mercury will also be retrograde from March 15th until April 7th. And yeah, that will be in Pisces. So, and maybe a little bit of Aries. I'll have to double check. I will discuss that as we get closer, probably in my next video. So like I said, eclipse season, this is the last new moon. We've got Venus retrograde starting. We've got, a lot of retrograde energy popping off. And of course, that's in the midst of eclipse season. So utilize, this time and prepare yourself accordingly. Just a reminder, if you're getting value from these videos, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the like button, comment below, and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date as I post bi-weekly videos going over the new and the full moon. Now, in this next section of the video, we are going to go over horoscopes for each individual rising sign. Please make sure you fast forward and listen for your rising sign. That will be the most accurate interpretation of this energy. And if you don't know your rising sign, that's okay too. Go ahead and listen for your sun sign, as that will be the second most accurate interpretation of this energy. And of course, if you're curious, you can even listen for your moon sign. That will be a much more general or even more vague interpretation, but it will still give you more of an understanding of how the new moon in Pisces will be showing up for you. Aries Rising. Aries Rising, this new moon in Pisces is activating your 12th house of all things hidden, subconscious, and dreamlike. Now, you might have been experiencing a feeling of wanting to hide in the background over the last few weeks anyway, as Pisces season definitely starting up for you and really getting active after the 18th. You might have been feeling this urge to sort of pull things back. This new moon is definitely your invitation to explore your inner world. Meditation, Reiki, sleeping, and tracking your dreams, maybe having a dream journal out during this time. These are all really recommended activities for Aries risings during the new moon in Pisces, as the 12th house is about all things transcendental. We are transcending from the physical to the spiritual in the 12th house. And so a lot of this work is happening very much in the background. It is not something that we tend to share with anybody. In fact, you might be feeling during this new moon like you need more alone time than usual, and I encourage you to take it. This is definitely the time to take a moment and get right on the inside before you get out there into the spotlight. And that spotlight is coming, Aries, as Venus retrograde is in Aries. Venus is already in Aries, and so you might have been feeling the Venusian vibes, especially aesthetically and in terms of how you're showing up in the world. But once that retrograde starts, and it will start in your first house, Aries, that will really be the moment when you have to do a lot of self-work. That's really the name of the game for you all, Aries, is self-work, because the first house is about the self and the 12th house is about the inner world. And it is a house that is much more isolated than the rest of the chart. And so there is really nobody else involved right now for you, Aries. It is all about you. Me, myself, and I is really your slogan right now. So how can you focus on self-development, on personal development? This might look like changing up, how you come off to other people, maybe reevaluating your energy when you show up in the world, how you come off to other people, maybe even the way that you appear to others. All of this to say that you're going to be experiencing a lot of self-reflection, as the Venus retrograde in your first house will certainly have you reevaluating yourself and how you show up to others externally. But then that Venus retrograde will move back into your 12th house, and it will of course reactivate similar themes to what you might experience during the new moon in Pisces, when you're being asked to more so reevaluate and evaluate what's happening on an inner level. Not so much external, Aries, but really getting internal and going deep within oneself to explore the spiritual waters that are living within you that only you can access, Aries. So I encourage you, get a journal, take time to meditate, carve out time throughout your day, maybe in the morning or at night. And between now and April, when things are really, and when we're in the thick of things, Aries, and you're going to be experiencing a lot of this energy, make sure you prioritize self-care and feeling like you're in alignment with who you are and who you want to be, as a lot of questions are going to be coming up for you. Take this opportunity now with the new moon in Pisces to get right on an inner level. The next time we have a lunation in the sign of Pisces, it will be September 7th, and that will be an eclipse. So a lot will be changing for you, especially in terms of things going on in the background of your life, maybe things that nobody else but you can see, but they're very real. So make sure, Aries, that you're doing your due diligence on an inner level and taking care of your inner world during this new moon. Taurus Rising. Taurus Rising, the new moon in Pisces is activating your 11th house. This is the part of the chart that deals with friends, communities, groups, organizations, and teams that you're a part of. This is all about your greater hopes and dreams and the people that you have around you to help you get there. Now, Taurus, this new moon means that you might be having new friendships starting around this time. You might be joining a new club or a new organization, or maybe some spiritual infusion is coming to your friend group. Maybe you decide as a group that you're going to go to take a yoga class, or you're going to book a spiritual retreat to go to some place like Costa Rica, and you've never been and you're all excited, right? This is the moment in time to really lean in deeper to your friends, to your networks. And of course, make sure, Taurus, that you're taking the time to consider and really take note of if these people are helping you to get to your hopes and your dreams. What is it that you want to achieve in life? And are these people helping to foster your hopes and dreams and allowing you and maybe even supporting you in getting to your goals? A lot of revision, a lot of reevaluation is going to be going on for you, Taurus, especially as the Venus retrograde is going to be moving through this part of your chart as well. Now, Venus retrograde will actually be starting in your 12th house. And this is the house of all things inner. It's the house of your subconscious. And so it's all to do with your inner world. Meditation falls within this house. Anything involving your mental health, making sure you're taking care of yourself, not just on a physical level, but on a spiritual and an emotional level. The Venus retrograde in Aries might be reminding you of ways that you can really honor your inner world. And of course, make sure that you're tending to your spiritual needs and refocusing, maybe even realigning some of your subconscious beliefs and thoughts, so that way you can show up as a better version of yourself within your friend groups. And this is probably going to be the experience that you have, Taurus, during the month of March, as the Venus retrograde will definitely be really activating this 12th house energy, bringing you inward and asking you to evaluate who you are and how you show love to yourself on a very private level. And once this has taken place by the end of March, the Venus retrograde will move into your 11th house, and suddenly we're also considering how the people in our life are adding or taking away from our own spiritual journey and our ability to love ourselves and to love on others. But Taurus, before we get into all of that in the month of March, this new moon in Pisces is your invitation to really just lean into your friends and enjoy the connections that you have with people. Appreciate what new experiences, what new connections might pop up for you during this time, and take note by September how things, especially in your friend group and in your larger social network, how have they evolved for you? Between now and September, I wouldn't be surprised, Taurus, if you have a real major infusion and maybe even a new chapter beginning in this area of your life. New friends, new groups, new communities to be a part of. Is all of this helping you to get to the next level of your greater hopes and dreams? Gemini Rising. Gemini Rising, the new moon in Pisces is activating your 10th house of career. So my first question for you is, how are things going in terms of your career? In the realm of your career, how are you showing up and how has that been feeling for you? I say feeling because it is a moon energy that we're talking about, right? And the moon does rule over our emotions. And so during this new moon in Pisces, Geminis, you all might be feeling way more emotionally driven and connected to your career field. This might mean you feel more psychically drawn to your career, and maybe you're getting premonitions around things in your career life that maybe you hadn't seen before. You might be more sensitive to the energies of your coworkers or even of the people that you deal with in your career, whether that be customers or clients. Gemini, this new moon is really giving you a heads up and sort of a preview of what you can expect between now and 2027, especially as the eclipses are going to be activating this part of your chart. We are going to be having two retrogrades, both Venus and Mercury, moving through this part of your chart, meaning career stuff is on the topic. It is the main topic for you right now. It is center stage. So asking yourself how you can improve in terms of your career and what areas of your career could you see needing an upgrade? Do you feel like you need to begin something new when it comes to how you go about your career or where your career takes place or even why you do what you do? This is a new moon, which means we're planting new seeds. And of course, Saturn is here reminding you that yes, you can dream big, Gemini, and this Pisces energy wants you to dream big. Especially with Neptune here, our dreams feel so magical. But because Saturn is involved, we do have to remember to stay practical. The North Node is pushing you. It is pushing you to reach new levels of achievement in your career. What is your ultimate destiny? If you're on the right path, how can you get to that next level even greater? But if you're not on the right path, this new moon, you might have to pay attention to that gut feeling telling you, something is not right here. I need to switch something up, whether that be an approach that you have to doing your job or a completely different one. That is up to you, Gemini, but please know that when it comes to all things career related, you are going to be experiencing a lot of change and hopefully a lot of positive new chapters beginning for you here. Now, the Venus retrograde will begin in your 11th house of friends, which means initially in March, you're going to maybe have old friends coming back into your life. You might be reconnecting with friends that became lovers that maybe went back to being friends and looking at how that relationship has gone. You might have old family members showing back up for you in maybe greater contexts, like through social media or through a shared group or team or organization that you are both a part of. If you are hit with the text of, hey, it's been a long time, how have you been? Don't be surprised if you're being asked to reconsider how you show up in those relationships. And of course, being in the sign of Aries, there is a sense of maintaining your sense of self and preserving who you are in the relationship. But by the end of March, as Venus moves into Pisces and this transitions into your career, it's going to be much more than just, does this person fit into my life? But is this person helping me to achieve what it is that I want to achieve in my life? We're moving from just a social connection to how is this person helping me reach my goals, or how do these people and this group, how does this organization that I'm a part of, how is it helping me get to where I want to go and what my ultimate destiny is, which is of course that North Node in Pisces as well, really speaking to us between March and April. So Gemini, please know that career-wise, you've got a lot unfolding for you, and know that the people in your life, the friends in your life, are also going to be very important during this time, and they're going to serve as a huge reminder of who you are, how you show up in love and friendship, and ultimately what it is that you want to achieve and accomplish over the next few years. Cancer Rising. Cancer Rising, the new moon in Pisces is activating your 9th house of spirituality, religion, higher education, and long distance travel. This new moon might mean that you are feeling ready to take a trip. You are feeling the urge to experience the world in a way that might never have been experienced by you before. If you've been feeling that travel itch, if you've been wanting to maybe get your passport updated, or you've been really interested in learning about a new culture, and this has been really on your heart to explore this new area of the world, go ahead. This is your green light to make that trip a reality. This is a lot of energy going on for you in the 9th house, Cancer. So yes, long distance travel, foreign travel, going to new lands and places and cultures that you've never been to, all of that is on the menu. And this might be the beginning of things for you, Cancer. It does not mean that you are necessarily experiencing the peak, as we've got a lot going on in this area of your chart, and it is not just for this new moon. The North Node is activating your 9th house, Cancers, which means that over the next couple of years, the eclipses are going to be activating this part of your chart. Long distance travel, that's definitely on the agenda if you are interested in pursuing that. If not, it can be simply learning about and understanding about cultures or people that are different from yourself, right? Because the 9th house is about expanding your mind and expanding your perspective. That's also why higher education falls into this. So during this new moon, Cancers, you might be feeling like it's time to go back to school. Maybe you start to look at enrolling in a college or university or a course that you've been really interested in learning about. You might decide that now is the time to begin reading a new series or a book that is all about a topic that's going to help you to progress and to see the world in ways that you've never seen it before. Maybe it's a religious topic of study. Maybe it's astrology, because astrology does fall into this house. or maybe it is simply something involving your career. A lot of things can be happening for you, especially in terms of travel and expansion between now and even over the next few months, especially as we've got both Venus and Mercury retrograding through Pisces. So yes, you are going to be reflecting a lot on how far you've come, maybe through college and university and all of your studies, and how have things been going for you there. Or maybe the topic and the reflection is more about your travels and your experiences and how you've really learned more about higher religion and education and philosophy and spirituality, and what your perspective is and your beliefs are on all of those things. Now, the Venus retrograde will be moving through your 10th house to begin in the sign of Aries. And so Cancers, you might be experiencing a lot of reflection, maybe even some pullback, and really having to analyze, or maybe going and reconnecting with people in your career that you haven't seen or connected with in a long time. This is the month of March for you, when the retrograde is activating your 10th house in the sign of Aries, and you're learning about how to maybe get along better with people in your career. All of a sudden, by the end of March and going into April, you are going to have the retrograde moving into your 9th house. And so it's going to move from career to expansion and travel. And so perhaps something in your career is adding to that area of your life. Maybe your career is maybe pushing you to going back to school because you want to, climb the corporate ladder and you want to achieve new heights when it comes to the status and the responsibilities that you hold in your work life. Whatever that looks like for you, Cancers, please know that between now and September, as the new moon in Pisces is activating this 9th house for you, by September, when we've already had a few eclipses here and we've had a few retrogrades here, you might be seeing the world differently. You might be experiencing life and your religious beliefs and your spiritual beliefs. Things might look a lot different for you. You might have new perspectives, new information, and new experiences that ultimately change who you are in terms of the way you see the world and the way that you see yourself as it fits and relates to your place in the world. Leo Rising. Leo Rising, the new moon in Pisces is activating your 8th house. The 8th house is the house of death, sex, and other people's money. Also, secrets fall into this house, and understanding the psyche and how people's minds work. This is the house of things that are occult and taboo. And namely, this is the area of the life that we don't talk about these topics much, right? This is all about sex and money, which are two topics that we don't often share with other people, right? We don't talk about our sex life. We don't talk about how much money we have. But this new moon suddenly is illuminating this for you, Leo. And so think about how you are experiencing this part of your life right now, and know that a lot is going to change for you here. So this might look like your partner's income changing, or any sort of money, maybe a sudden windfall of money, an inheritance, comes your way. Either it begins during this new moon, or you just feel that things are shifting when it comes to your finances and what you are receiving from other people around this time of this new moon. And ultimately, please know, Leos, that you've got 6 months, and we've got a lot in those 6 months. We've got a couple retrogrades going through this part of your chart, and we've got some eclipses. And by September 7th, when we have the full moon in Pisces, which is also an eclipse, you might be looking at your finances and how you share money, and even how you share intimacy with people in a whole new way. Yes, I did say intimacy because, of course, like I said, this is also the house of death and sex. It is the house of transformation, right? Rebirth. And ultimately, that comes from a place of intimacy, of getting comfortable with being vulnerable, whether that be through sex, whether that be through sharing money. Maybe this is about owing money that you have to repay. Yes. Repayment plans, debts, loans, they all fall into this category. So this new moon, you might be redefining how you handle your finances and how you repay old debts and loans that you need to repay in order to keep those relationships in a good place. At the same time, sexually, you might be feeling a resurgence during this time, while at the same time, the Venus retrograde will be eventually moving through Pisces towards the end of March, and that might change your approach to sex and all sexually related things, as of course Venus does deal with relationships. The Venus retrograde, starting the next day after this new moon in the sign of Aries, will initially activate your 9th house, Leos. The 9th house is all about foreign travel, your belief systems, and higher education. And so Venus retrograde initially, you might be revisiting places that you haven't been to in a while. You might go on a trip with somebody that you haven't seen, and this is your way to reconnect with them. You might go back to school. You might decide that you want to re-enroll in a course, or simply if you have old textbooks or any sort of content that allows you to learn and expand your mind. Maybe it's something you've already read or studied in the past. Now would be the time during the March time frame when Venus is retrograding through Aries that you revisit those old textbooks and those topics of study, and maybe even relearn and refresh your mind around those things that perhaps might have taken a back seat over the last couple of years. As March winds down and we enter into April, Venus will move into Pisces, which of course is going to bring back similar things to what we're experiencing now during the new moon in Pisces. And again, because the 8th house deals with our partner's income and Venus is of course the planet of relationships, this could mean that you might see a revision around the money that you're receiving from a spouse or a business partner. It could also mean that you are reevaluating your sex life and the way that you show up in terms of being intimate and being vulnerable and sharing that experience with another person. The 8th house can be a lot of shadow work. Secrets could emerge around this house, so please take note of that. And know that ultimately this new moon is a new beginning for you, Leos, when it comes to how you share the things in your life that are very intimate and personal, such as your money and your sex life in general. Both of these things are going to be getting a lot of attention and energy between now, over the next couple of months, and even over the next couple of years. Virgo Rising. Virgos, this new moon in Pisces is activating your 7th house of marriage and relationships. And so the main topic for you during this new moon is how things are going for you when it comes to relationships. And this is planting seeds. This is the new beginning that you've been waiting for when it comes to your relationship. Whether I'm speaking to you and you're single and you're ready for something new to blossom in your life, maybe you're dating and you're ready to take things to a new level, a new chapter in that relationship, or maybe you're married and you are ready to redefine and reanalyze and maybe even respark things in your marriage. This is the new moon where you're able to tap into that. You might be feeling more sensitive, maybe even more psychically, there we go, connected to your partner during this new moon. Pisces is a very spiritual sign. How can you bring spirituality and your belief systems into your partnership? Now, if you're single and if you're not interested in dating, this can also pertain to best friends and business partners. So I just want to make that clear. It can involve platonic relationships as well. Now, ultimately, Virgos, this new moon, we have a lot of energy active for you in the area of the chart that deals with relationships. So it is opposing your 1st house of self, meaning that the focus is really not on you. In fact, it is on everybody external to yourself. How are you showing up in these relationships? And are you looking at new ways to maybe show up better in these relationships? This is your opportunity, Virgos, to plant those seeds of intention. If you want to be more loving and considerate to your partner, if you want to attract a partner in your life that values the same things that you value, if you've been looking to maybe take the current relationship you're in and infuse a more deep sense of spiritual union and connection, this is your moment to do that, Virgos. Please take this new moon as it is the precursor to so much else that'll be going on for you in terms of this area of your chart. You are experiencing eclipses when it comes to this part of your chart, which means new beginnings and new endings are likely to happen for you when it comes to marriage. This can mean marriage, this can mean divorce, this can mean a complete change and a shift in the dynamic between you and your partner. This is really good, but it can feel chaotic. So make sure that you are tending to your relationship needs. Saturn is also here. Saturn's been here. Saturn has really forced you to grow up when it comes to your relationships. Saturn might have already taught you a lot of lessons, but Saturn is also here during this new moon to remind you that yes, it is time to think big, dream big, and focus on ways that you can really reach a new level of evolution in the relationships that you're in. But also be realistic, right? Make sure that you're not in la la land. Take off the rose-colored glasses if they're on, Virgo. You have a really great eye for detail, and this is definitely the the moment when, again, it's important to dream, but it's also just as important to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success by incorporating a dose of realism into your dreams. Now, the Venus retrograde will start initially in your 8th house, which is the house of other people's money. So this can involve your spouse's income. This is also the house of sex and death and all things taboo that we don't often talk about. And so the Venus retrograde initially will more than likely have you revisiting and maybe even reanalyzing and redefining how your relationship is with its finances. What does that look like in terms of joint bank accounts, separate bank accounts, your savings accounts together? That more than likely will be a huge topic of conversation for you in the month of March. But by the end of March and as we approach April, Virgos, you will more than likely have that Venus retrograde really bringing up feelings of how you can maybe either reconnect with old relationships in your life or bring back the spark from the past, or just simply begin anew, right? Because again, eclipses, retrogrades, they're all opportunities to shift and to pivot on whatever timeline we're currently on. But take this new moon in Pisces, Virgo. This is your opportunity to lean in deeper to the way that you want your relationship between now and September of 2025 to progress, to look like. How can you really make sure that you're living a relationship that's authentic, honest, and also highly aligned to your spiritual needs? Libra Rising. Libras, this new moon in Pisces is activating your 6th house. The 6th house is the house of health, your day-to-day work, and the habits that you've created for yourself, as well as pets and coworkers, and ultimately the way that you serve others. Now, having a new moon in your 6th house means that you are looking at ways that you can revitalize the way that you take care of yourself. This might look like starting up a new workout routine, going and seeing a new chiropractor, getting a new beauty treatment done that perhaps you've been wanting to get done because you know you need it, and now finally you bite the bullet and you say, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Please know that I would really recommend, Libras, that if you are looking to do any sort of beauty treatments, you do it before March 1st. And I know the new moon on the 28th does not leave you any time. So if you are listening to this before the 28th and you are interested in doing any sort of beauty, especially changes to the way that you look or any sort of painful beauty treatments, I would recommend doing them before March 1st. As the retrograde, the Venus retrograde, will affect you a lot more than others because Venus does rule over Libra, meaning it's your ruling planet. And overall, as a collective, we don't really recommend doing beauty stuff during a Venus retrograde. So I just wanted to plug that in there, especially since we will be looking at Venus. But this new moon in the 6th house is really great for your health. Anything holistic, right? Alternative ways of taking care of your health. If you have been dealing with any sort of health issues, especially since Saturn has been in this part of your chart since March of 2023, if you've been dealing with any sort of chronic health ailments, this new moon is your opportunity to maybe start looking into new ways of handling old health problems. Again, Pisces is a very spiritually oriented sign, so this might look like holistic or more alternative ways of healing yourself. This is also the house of pets, and so anything pet related, you might be feeling like you want to maybe get a new pet, or maybe you want to change up your routines with your pet and you want to maybe get them on a different schedule or change even just their foods that you serve them on a daily basis or their water that they're drinking. Something involving your pets might be happening for you, or this could be an opportunity to really allow new change to happen when it comes to pets. But also service, the work that you do, even coworkers can fall in this category. So anything new happening with coworkers, maybe some spiritual connections or experiences with your coworkers. Now, again, the Venus retrograde will initially begin in your 7th house, Libras. This will be in the sign of Aries, which is your 7th house of marriage and partnership. And so you of all people, especially being a Libra rising, you will feel, especially in March, you will feel that Venus retrograde. In the sign of Aries means that you are going to be reevaluating your marriage, your relationships, those close one-to-one partnerships. If it's not romantic, it could be platonic, right? Like a best friend or a business partner. there might be some revisions needing to take place. You might go and revisit some ways of doing things, or maybe you feel like you are starting a new chapter or revisiting an old one. Ultimately, the month of March, Libras, is going to be heavily relationship focused for you. But by the end of March, especially as we reach April, Venus will retrograde into Pisces, and this again will activate your sixth house. This will be really interesting as this new moon is beginning new ways of taking care of your physical health, and the Venus retrograde will more than likely add to that, as it might bring in people that'll help you to maybe take care of yourself in new and better ways. It might involve connections or even money that could help you to, again, reinvest into taking care of your physical health, and even, maybe your pet's health, even something involving the service and the work that you do. Venus can bring that in for you and really help you to enjoy the fruits of the fortunes that Venus can bring, but also maybe reevaluating the people in your life that are helping you. Are they helping you to feel healthier, or are they toxic, and are they maybe hurting your health? On a spiritual and energetic level, Libra, please make sure that you are taking note of the people in your life and who you are surrounding yourself with. And are they helping you to be the healthiest and best version of yourself? Or are they maybe taking away from your health and causing toxicity within yourself? The question's up to you, but this new moon is your opportunity to set the stage and to plant seeds of good health. So that way, by the time we reach that full moon on September 7th, and that will be an eclipse, it'll be very, very intense, you will feel healthy, strong, and in alignment with your spiritual and physical needs and well-being. Scorpio Rising. Scorpios, this new moon in Pisces is activating your fifth house of dating, romance, children, and creativity. All of those topics for you might feel like they need a fresh start, and this is the new moon that is your opportunity to take that. This could look like you beginning to date somebody new. This could look like you introducing romance and maybe bringing in a new date night idea with somebody that you're currently dating. This could look like a lot of things. This could look like the spark of romance that you've been needing and craving, maybe with yourself even, that you bring that in during this new moon and you begin a new tradition for yourself or in your partnership that feels really spiritually aligned with who you are and who it is that you want to become. And I say that because we have the North Node of Destiny here, which means, Scorpios, that a lot will be happening for you during this new moon. In fact, over the next couple of years, you might be having a lot of conversations around dating and partnership, but also, Scorpios, the fifth house deals with children. And so if you've been looking to have kids, or if there's something going on with the kids in your life, this new moon might be starting that for you. It might be the beginning of something that changes when it comes to the relationship with kids in your life, or even the relationship with your inner child. Now, the Venus retrograde will initially begin in your sixth house in Aries, and that'll start on March 1st, the day after this new moon. Now, this Venus retrograde in Aries for you will more than likely be a lot of focus around your health and about taking care of your physical body. But once March wraps up and we have the Venus retrograde moving into Pisces, now the focus will go back to how you can better show up in your partnership, in your dating life, and even as a parent, or the way that you parent yourself. The Venus retrograde, you might be having old flames coming back up. So by April, I wouldn't be surprised, Scorpios, if you start getting texts from people that you've dated in the past, as Venus retrograde is notorious for bringing up exes from the past, but in the fifth house of dating, it is pretty much a given. So just be ready for that. Also, again, anything involving children, people that, maybe were a part of your childhood even, could come up for you during the Venus retrograde in April. But again, going back to the new moon, which is happening on Friday, the 28th, Scorpios, please utilize this as a great night for date night. Know that this is also a very fertile time for you. And so pregnancy, children, all of that is really viable during this new moon. And you might find that between now and September 7th, when we have the full moon in Scorpio, in Pisces, which will also be an eclipse, Scorpios, you will have a whole new approach to your dating life and to your approach to children and parenting between now and September. Sagittarius Rising. Sagittarius, the new moon in Pisces is activating your fourth house. This is all about your home life, your childhood, your parents, and the place that you physically live. Even real estate can fall into this area of the chart. And so Sagittarius, first thing you want to consider is how are things going at home for you? This new moon is your opportunity to plant seeds. If you want to move, if you are ready to move into a new place, maybe change up where you've been living, the community, the neighborhood, or even just the physical place you've lived. Maybe you're ready to move from an apartment to a house or vice versa. Sagittarius, now is the time. This new moon is your opportunity to reset and revitalize your living situation. If you've been living with some people that have been not so aligned with yourself and who you are, and you feel like spiritually they have not been helping you to reach the levels of maturity and evolution that you've been needing to reach, this is the new moon that says it's time to begin anew. And so during this new moon, Sag, I wouldn't be surprised if you take this opportunity and maybe even have things coming up for you that are asking you to reset and restart when it comes to your home life. Also, your parents could become a major theme during this new moon. This could look like revisiting things from your childhood, or maybe just something happens at home that begins a new situation or a new circumstance that you now have to maybe deal with in a good way, or hopefully, a good way, maybe not a bad way. But something is coming up for you that you now have to tackle. And between now and September 7th, when we have the full moon in Pisces, which will also be an eclipse, so a lot is changing for you all in terms of home and family. I wouldn't be surprised, Sagittarius, if by September, your home life looks a lot different, your family life looks a lot different, and ultimately the place that you and the people that you call home has up-leveled for the better. Now, the Venus retrograde will initially begin in your fifth house, which means that at the beginning, in the month of March, you're going to have a lot of revisions, maybe revisiting old people you've dated, as the fifth house does deal with dating and romance. Fifth house also deals with children, and so you might be revisiting conversations around having kids, or maybe you are reconnecting with your own kids or children that you have not seen in a while. This again can then bleed into that fourth house, because by the end of March, Venus will move into your fourth house, where you also then might be revisiting and reconnecting with old family members, and maybe even reflecting on your childhood and on the different stories and the people that made it what it was. Ultimately, Sag, I wouldn't be surprised if you do begin dating somebody, or if something in terms of marriage, home, and family happens for you during this time and really allows you to sort of elevate the relationships both in your home life and in your dating life. Capricorn Rising. Capricorns, the new moon in Pisces is activating your third house. Now, the third house is all about your mind, and it involves learning and communication. This is also the house that deals with siblings and neighbors. It is generally your local environment and the people and places that you see on a day-to-day basis. Now, a new moon means you are beginning something new. You are planting new seeds, and these seeds will be blooming by September 7th when we have the full moon in Pisces. Now, that full moon will also be an eclipse, and there's also going to be another eclipse in Pisces coming up in March, April. So a lot is going to happen for you in this part of your chart. Number one, Capricorns, this might mean that you have a new way of communicating by the time we reach these eclipses coming up later this year. This new moon might be the chance for you to, and the opportunity for you to really look at how you want to express yourself, and maybe even learning or communicating around things in a different way. You might have been doing things in a certain way, communicating in a certain way, maybe learning or teaching in a way that's been comfortable, and suddenly this new moon, you can decide that you're going to do things differently. Now, this new moon is characterized by a lot of other cosmic energies, all in your third house in the sign of Pisces. We've got Neptune and the North Node, both allowing you to really reach for a destiny that you know exists, and something that you want to obtain and reach that feels like it is part of your soul's evolution. But Saturn's also here, reminding you to stay practical and to stay realistic during this time. Now, this new moon will certainly set the scene for the way that you communicate, and it will also affect things involving your day-to-day life. This could look like your neighborhood. Maybe you begin meeting up with a new neighbor that you haven't seen, or visiting a new neighborhood that you haven't gone to. Perhaps this new moon begins a catalyst for you to start going and frequenting a new coffee shop or a new restaurant, and you suddenly begin making new connections with people in your community after this new moon, or because of this new moon around this time, that begins something for you that hadn't been before. And by September, you'll be able to look back and see how things progressed and why they did the way they did, hopefully for the best. Now, Venus retrograde will be beginning for you in your 4th house in the sign of Aries. Capricorns, this means that during the month of March, I wouldn't be surprised if you are revisiting a lot of things related to your home life. This could mean your physical home and the structure in which you live in. This could be your parents and the relationship with them, your childhood, even your ancestry and the family that you've come from, as well as the family you've created. A lot of reflection during this time, maybe reconnecting with old family members that you haven't seen or spoken to in quite a while. The Venus retrograde in Aries will more than likely elicit those connections and bring them up from the past in order for you to review them and decide whether they are to stay or to stay in the past. Now, after March, by the time we reach April, Venus will be retrograding into your 3rd house, which is the same house that this new moon is taking place in. So this means that by April, you might be experiencing a whole new way of communicating with the people that you see every single day. This might look like new relationships, or even relationships from the past coming back up for you, especially by April, and maybe even on a romantic level, reconnecting or connecting with people that you live near or that you see on a daily basis. And suddenly this is when new beginnings, new chapters are starting for you, as again, this is also during the time that we're experiencing eclipses in this part of your chart. So Capricorns, you have a lot to look forward to when it comes to your communication style, the way that you think, speak, learn, and teach, but also your local environment, your community, and your neighborhood is likely to get a new resurgence, and definitely a lot of reflection, especially during those retrogrades. And during the eclipses, I wouldn't be surprised if you get either new neighbors, a new neighborhood, a new way of talking, thinking, learning, or speaking. Ultimately, Capricorn, a lot of things in your day-to-day life are going to be experiencing a major up level between now and September, over these next couple of months, and even over the next couple of years. Aquarius Rising. Aquarius Rising, this new moon in Pisces is activating your 2nd house of earned income. Now, this is really great news for those of you that are ready for a new income stream, a new way of spending or budgeting your money, or simply a new way of looking at how you handle your finances, and as a result, how you see yourself, your self-worth, and the value that you hold. This is a lot, but this is also a really great new moon for you, Aquarius, because in many ways, this is a fresh start financially. This is the beginning of something that might be a lot of energy for you, because as the months progress, money and all things related to your income is going to be shifting and experiencing some chaos. Now, I say that with love because nobody wants to hear that financial chaos is on the horizon, and it is not on the horizon. But what I am saying is that you are going to have a lot of focus on your income and on your money. This could mean new money coming in, new income streams coming in for you. And this new moon is the precursor to that. This new moon in Pisces is you realizing it's time to make money in the ways that I've been knowing I'm meant to make it. If you've been working a dead-end job, Aquarius, and you realize it's only going to get you so far, with the North Node being active in this new moon and Saturn being active in this new moon, there's a lot of focus on reaching our dreams and our goals and our destiny, but doing so in a way that makes sense. And financially, we need to make sense, right? Because we need to make sure that we're still able to live, pay the bills, and do what we need to do. Money is extremely important for survival. And this is going to be a major lesson for you during this new moon and over the next couple of months, as we've got eclipses and retrogrades all activating your 2nd house. Now, I do recommend, Aquarius, before the craziness of March, that you handle finances ahead of time. Maybe that looks like setting aside some money into savings, doing your taxes before things get wacky in March, especially when Mercury goes retrograde in March 15th. I would just make sure that financially you've got all your ducks in order. Now, the Venus retrograde, also starting in March, on March 1st, is at first activating your third house. Now, Aquarius, this is all about your communication style, which I know as an air sign is really important to you, and the ways that you think and work as a human and in terms of how you show up in the world. It'll also be activating things involving your neighborhood. And so this might look like reconnecting with old neighbors during this time, maybe reconnecting with the people that you've seen on a day-to-day basis, going to new places and maybe seeing people that you haven't seen in a while, old coffee shops that you haven't been to, old restaurants, and going to see the servers there that you haven't seen in a while. Anything like that might come up for you during March. It also might be a time, Aquarius, where you really have to reevaluate your communication style, your learning style, your teaching style, and how it is that you express all of those amazing ideas that you have with the world. Eventually, by the time we reach April, the Venus retrograde will be activating your second house. Similar to this new moon, you are going to be maybe going back over your money, reevaluating your spending habits and your savings, and really making sure that you are setting yourself up for financial success. And I know all of us want that. And of course, Aquarius, this is your moment where it's important for you to focus on that. So take this new moon in Pisces on the 28th as your opportunity to set yourself up for success, to begin new seeds of financial awareness, and also just in terms of your financial health. Because by September 7th, when we have that full moon in Pisces in the same place of the chart, hopefully all of those income streams are blossoming and abundance has come your way. Pisces Rising. Pisces Rising, all eyes are on you during this new moon as you are center stage. This new moon is activating your first house of yourself. The first house is the house of the self. It is the house of how you look, how you appear, how you come off to the world. It is the aura, the energy that you express and give off to others, especially if they've just met you or if you're entering into a new social setting. Pisces, this new moon is your opportunity to really look at who you are and to set intentions around how you appear, how you take care of yourself, and ultimately your personality, your ego, your aura, and your energy. It is all about you. And so it's okay to be selfish during this new moon. Pisces, this new moon is your opportunity to plant seeds, because by September 7th, which is when we have a full moon in Pisces, and that'll be an eclipse, there's going to be a lot changing for you. Your physical body, Pisces, please make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Because the first house does deal with the physical body. Pisces rules over the feet. So this might be a really great opportunity to start walking, to start taking care of your physical health and your vitality. This could also look like your appearance, making sure that you feel like you're showing up authentically, and that you're also taking care of your spiritual health as much as you've been taking care of your mental health and of your physical health. Now, Pisces, this Venus retrograde will initially be in your 12th house in your second house. So initially in that second house, you are going to be experiencing a lot of revision and reflection when it comes to your finances. The second house is all about money. And so when the Venus retrograde begins the day after this new moon, suddenly the focus is on your spending, on your budgeting, on the people and the ways in which you earn money and how the people that help you get that money, right? Venus is all about connections. And so this might look like going back to people that you've made money with in the past and maybe reconnecting and bringing that in energy into the current and maybe making money with these people, or deciding that the ways that you're earning money or the people that you're earning money with now are not in alignment with what it is that you ultimately want to achieve. That'll be the month of March for you, Pisces, right? As the Venus retrograde will definitely be having you reanalyze your finances. But by the time we reach April, that Venus retrograde will move into your first house. And then it's going to be similar to this new moon, a relook, a rediscovery, so to speak, of who you are. What is your style? What is your sense of energy? How do you show up in the world? What do you look like when you meet other people? And how do you feel about yourself? That's the goal here, Pisces. A lot of focus on you, your self-worth, your value of your sense of self, the money that you earn, and ultimately how you show up in the world. You have an opportunity here, Pisces, to completely shift who you are. This is going to be one of the most personally developing times of honestly, probably the next few years. The eclipses in Pisces are going to really take you for a spin, but ultimately they're going to force you and push you towards your ultimate destiny and who it is that you are meant to evolve into. So take this new moon as a preview of all of the evolution that's about to take place. Please make sure that you hit that subscribe button, click the like button if you got value from this video, and of course, tap that notification bell so you can stay up to date. If this information was of value, but you want to understand more and you really want to know who you are, what is your cosmic coding, what is your energetic blueprint, and how does all of this planetary craziness fit into your life, the link is below if you want to book a reading with myself. That'll be via Zoom. We will have a whole discussion about your birth chart. It even comes with a full PDF that is yours to keep. So if that's of interest to you and you want to dive deeper into your own personal astrology, link is below to set up a birth chart reading. I hope that you guys enjoy this new moon in Pisces. And I know we've got a lot coming up in March. So make sure that you're staying in tune with these videos and that you're keeping up to date, as the next video, we're going to be looking not only at the Venus retrograde, but we have a full moon coming up and we have a Mercury retrograde coming up. So with that, I wish you all a beautiful week. Have a wonderful new moon in Pisces, and I'll see you all again in the next video.